The original Freespace by Volition was a fine game. 1999's sequel, Freespace 2, is a masterpiece, easily one of the greatest games ever made, and unrivaled in the space sim genre. The combination of writing, immersive gameplay, sound design, and art makes it a classic that's still beloved even after 20 years. In 2002, after they were purchased by THQ, Volition released the Freespace 2 source code project. This has allowed a constant upkeep of mods and enhancements to the base game, ensuring that it will run on any computer with improved textures, lighting, and resolutions, making Freespace 2 a consistently playable title with few hiccups. The presentation and story is a major step up from the first title, set 30 years after the Great War, where Terrans and Vesudans were almost annihilated by an intergalactic horde known little more than the Shivans. The intentions and reasons behind this assault has been seemingly lost amongst the countless other spacefaring civilizations that had been wiped out millennia before. A Pyrrhic victory was achieved by collapsing the wormhole leading towards Earth, destroying the main Shivan forces, but totally separating the rest of humanity from Earth. This is an interesting concept not often explored in sci-fi. What is humanity and our culture without our home planet? It's a somber, melancholy view despite the grandeur of interstellar travel, making it feel all the more real. As a new part of the GTVA, an alliance between the two Vesudan Terran races, you assist in fighting the hardline insurgency of the Neo-Terran Front led by Admiral Bosch, but it's not long before the Shivans reappear at a formerly dormant artificial subspace portal leading to a vast nebula, housing a resurgent Shivan force. The game has you then jumping between different fronts of the war, so you're never placed in one environment for too long, giving the conflicts a real sense of scale and breadth, something the first game really lacked. Most of the story is relayed through pre-mission briefings from your admiral and infrequent cutscenes for major events. The writing is incredibly engaging as the tactical situation, threats, and your objectives are relayed through simple and effective graphics. You'll always know what your tasks are, as well as the stakes at hand. Volition included some star talent for major characters to really sell particular scenes, with Ronnie Cox, Kurtwood Smith, and the late Robert Loggia contributing decent if weary performances. It does an excellent job motivating you before each mission and carries the plot comfortably. It's a real shame the series never got a proper final entry, which would have answered Freespace's many questions, like the origins of the Shivans, Admiral Bosch's goals, and the return to Earth. Then again, there wasn't any real conclusion planned, so digging deeper is somewhat fruitless. In terms of gameplay, as a sequel, Freespace 2 doesn't add much. The controls are exactly the same as the first title. You move around in a 3D space, targeting ships and firing away with your primary and secondary weapons with your mouse. Weapons pack a real punch and sense of weight as they travel across the screen and home in on your targets. Ammunition is refilled through transport ships so you can call in at will. Clever UI features like matching the speed of your target and auto-locking into the nearest enemy are simple touches but really streamline the action, allowing you to purely focus on fighting instead of bumbling around with your keyboard or joystick. The HUD displays your objectives and squad commands to the side and the enemy's condition in the center. It's a very direct, utilitarian design. It could have been more distinctive, though that's the beauty of mods. The simulation is pretty good, with different subsystems like shields, engines, comms, and navigational components that can be disabled, destroyed, and repaired. It does have an arcadey lean with the dozens of ships you destroy in each mission, but dogfighting has always been the focus. As the game progresses, you unlock new equipment, allowing you to tweak and enhance your ship and its loadout. It's no MechWarrior or Armored Core in terms of customization, but since by default you're stocked up with crappy weapons, it's a smart idea to improve your gear or swap ships before deploying. Issuing commands to your wingman is easy, though it requires some practice. It's worthwhile as an action that can deal major damage as well as draw away heat. It's almost impossible, especially in the harder difficulties, to carry out missions purely solo. The added voice work of them congratulating you, calling out for help, then suddenly cutting out is emotional stuff. It makes keeping them alive so rewarding. Mission objectives are usually defending a ship or seek and destroy tasks. They're not too difficult as you can order your squads to carry them out fairly reliably, and the pre-mission briefing explains each step. Of course, like all battles, the situation can radically change in a heartbeat, and you've got to adapt. This can create some confusion as certain objectives are scripted and are impossible to accomplish, leading to some unnecessary mission restarts. There's far more level variety than the first game, with one of the best additions being an optional campaign where you go undercover and assist the GTVA's special forces. These are some of the best written and scripted sections, as you quickly find yourself totally in over your head, but the allure of exclusive experimental ships is too hard to resist. Despite this praise, Freespace 2's single player has generally poor difficulty pacing and unbalanced sections throughout the game. Some parts are incredibly easy, you're barely threatened as your allies just clean house. Other times you repeat the same overwhelming engagement a dozen times. Certain infamous missions like destroying enemy warships' cannons within a few minutes requires an absurd level of precision and luck with your allies not crashing. You'll have some secondary objectives that can't be done. You may disable an enemy frigate, but you just can't destroy it as required. Or you'll be tasked defending a ship that's almost instantly crushed by enemies who warp in. It already sucks, but failure is made worse as your commanders chew you out with each mess up, so you'll keep throwing yourself at this wall until pulling out a victory, because it's all worth it for a chest full of medals and a pat on the back. Totally. So while Freespace 2 can be frustrating, unbalanced, and broken at times, it's still very beautiful and immersive. There's a lot of really impressive in-game set-piece modes, like 2 clashing battleships, their gunfire and beams visible for miles, or the distant explosions of fighters and cruisers as they succumb to their wounds. The nebula sections are really cool as thunderstorms disrupt your controls and obscure distant, massive objects. These points turn Freespace into a survival horror experience as you desperately try and hold out and escape. This is thanks in large part to the score and sound effects, which do wonders in enhancing each and every encounter, and makes the simple act of cruising through space ominous and a battle pulse-poundingly gripping. Even in its weaker moments, Freespace 2's content is almost all fantastic and thoroughly engaging. Hours will flash by as you earn your wings, increase your victories, and rack up accolades and praise. It's a real shame the series remains incomplete and more or less dead, as the recent upshoot of space-related titles has helped garner Freespace new fans. A remaster or a genuine spiritual successor would have me and thousands of others on board instantly. But until then, with Freespace 2 available and playable online, and at such a low price considering the content, you owe yourself to play one of the greatest video games ever crafted.